Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me, taking the trouble and time to have another look at one of my vids. You're always most welcome. So today, as you'll have got the hint already from the screen there, we're going to be having a little look at the Airfix 2022 range that they just announced 24 hours ago before I shot this video. I'm going to go through that with just my opinions, not the entire range, and I'm not going to go through it on the screen because I think you'll find that boring. Most of you will have seen it already, or I'll put the link in so you can go and have a look yourself at their more polished video where one of their sales and marketing guys, head of brand, is going to present, Dale, is going to present all the products to you. So I'll put that in it as a link, but what I will do is talk about my views of the sort of 4 or 5 headline sort of releases that they're doing this year. Also in this video, this is almost part 2 of my vid from last week when I said that I needed help and advice. I wanted some pointers from the viewers to tell me what sort of kits I should be thinking about building this year. Just got off if I will just move that. And we're going to have to just have the results of those, of the poll, if you like, because it's almost like a voting system we had. I had over 80 votes, so it's been very interesting, and it didn't quite pan out the way I thought. The top 2 were kind of what I might have predicted, but 3rd and 4th came out of nowhere, so we'll come to that later. First of all, we'll talk about Airfix. So 2 days ago, in fact the day before the official launch, Airfix announced their big headline release for 2022 because they were at a Spitfire event at Duxford, the RAF Museum, Flying Museum, down near Cambridge in the UK. And they had a big presentation. I wasn't there, but I saw some pictures. They looked really good. Excuse me. I think they went into a lot of effort to explain what their thinking was, which we'll come to in a moment because I've got some issues with their thinking. But anyway, but they laid out for all the people that were at this event all the sprues, and lots of images were shown, and clearly a lot of work as Hornby and Margate has been done. Now my opinion of this is last year, let me put it in some sort of historical perspective for you. Last year, when they announced their range, I was quite disappointed with it. I thought it was very unambitious. 1 or 2 things they'd done, like the Mosquito, were quite good. Obviously the Vulcan was actually from the previous year, but was just delay. So there's a lot of hangover from 2020 in it as well, which kind of polluted it slightly. But I think it's a good thing for them because their actual releases last year were a bit muted, I thought. With the COVID crisis, of course, the pandemic, it's understandable. I don't want to be too critical. I don't want to come across as negative at all. But I just thought it could have been better. I think a lot of that was true of a lot of manufacturers, including Tamiya, by the way. It was also very muted releases, but that is the background. So when they announced this range, there's been rumblings of a 24 scale kit might be coming through. Nobody had any idea really what it was going to be. And then announced it's a Mark 9C Spitfire. Now, I sort of groaned initially, and I thought, oh, you know, another Spitfire. I haven't really changed my view, having had a couple of days to think about it. My beef is not that they produce a Spitfire, which is kind of Hornby Airfix's raison d'etre. It's their USP. That's what they're known for. That's always going to sell in their primary markets, like the UK and the US and Australia, New Zealand, places like that. And I think they've gone for this this choice of the Mark 9 is the question I have, because they are the first people that did the 24 scale Spitfire Mark 1A from the Battle of Britain back in the mid-late 60s. I think it came out 66, 67. Which had the most beautiful box art. I was absolutely captivated by it, but the actual kit within, even then, wasn't that great. Wasn't that great. A little bit disappointing on some levels. Seen through the lens of 2022, I mean, it's just absolutely dire. I mean, I'm not going to go into all its faults, but there are many problems, fit issues, bad sort of shaping, not correct design in some, a lot of things. It's not nice to build. It'll fight you all the way. And this, if anything, was being their flagship. I mean, historically that was always their flagship kit. It's a Airfix, and the sort of second, word association game. Airfix Spitfire is the next word that comes straight to your mind. So yes, okay, they've done that. They've done another Spitfire, but why have they chosen the Mark 9? Now I know the answer. I'm going to tell you in a moment, but I'm going to give you my case for not having chosen the Mark 9, if you like, and why I'm a little bit disappointed by that. Not in the kit, because we haven't seen it, and it'd be stupid to start speculating. I've seen the mock-up sort of rendering kit that they built, which I thought actually looked quite poor. But again, we can't read anything into that, because Airfix have a nasty habit of producing these sort of rendered kits that are a bit premature, quite frankly. I've seen it before, and the actual kit's been a lot better. So we mustn't read too much into that. But I thought that on the video, the actual finished kit was poor. Then they've got CAD images that look a lot better. So it's going to be quite interesting, isn't it, to see what they actually come up with. And we should all reserve judgment on that, I think. And hold our fire and keep our fingers crossed. So I'll come to the negatives first. Mark 9. Why a Mark 9C is my question, because you've got so many of them on the market. I know it. 24th is a unique scale for Airfix, and they haven't done a Mark 9 at 24 scale. And this is the real issue, the real driving force behind it, is that the Mark 9 was used by a lot of other countries. Americans used it, the Canadians flew in them, the French flew in them, the Australians, I think the New Zealanders. They all flew in these aircraft in World War II and beyond. And that, I think, is the real reason they have chosen it. Because they want to sell it into lots of other global markets, which I fully understand. And I've got sympathy with them to a degree. However, I think the first one should have been a Mark 1, the Mark 1A. Because this old kit is so old. I mean, what's that now? 60 years? It's coming up to 60 years old. Pretty near, 55, 60 years old. That is just so long in the tooth. And because it is part of their identity, I'm amazed, frankly, that they didn't at least say, we're doing the Mark 1, here you go, and then we'll follow it up in the next 12 months with a Mark 9. Fine. But they've gone for the Mark 9 first. Now, again, don't want to be too critical there, because I don't know their economics, and I'm sure that they're quite tight. I think they're probably going to do what I've said, but do it in reverse order, which I guess is fine. But I hope they do. I hope they don't leave the Mark 1 unmodernised, because it needs it, and it needs it bad, yeah? Somebody said yesterday, a comment on a well-known modelling forum, and I think he was probably right, and he said, I think what you'll find is they're going to do this first as a cash cow, and they're going to get their money back real fast, because people are placing orders for it right, left and centre. And in pricing terms, we'll come to that in a second as well. And they're going to get the money back and get their return on their investment, and then they're going to go on to do these other things that are not quite as big sellers, not quite as profitable, and almost you would certainly hope and expect they will produce a Mark 1, because it's needed far more than a Mark 9. Think of the other Mark 9s you can get your hands on, and I'm thinking straight away, my friends at Tamiya. By the way, I'm not allied to Tamiya. I have no affiliation with Tamiya or their subsidiaries or distributors or anybody else. I only have a sticker on the wall because it's a nice sticker, and it goes sort of meets the background quite nicely. I'm a big fan of their products. Please don't go thinking I'm sponsored by Tamiya in any shape or form whatsoever. But the Tamiya Mark 9C Spitfire is the gold standard, pretty much almost of model kits full stop. It's certainly right up there with the top 10 best kits ever made, and it was considered the best kit ever made probably until they brought out the Corsair, Mosquito and Mustang. So they are the market leader. They have a product there. It's not perfect. It doesn't have nameplates on the engine. It doesn't have some of the wiring and some of the cooling tubing in the engine area. It's not perfect, but it goes together like a dream. It looks like a beautiful Mark 9 Spitfire. I'm sure lots of you have seen mine. I could have got it out on the desk here. Perhaps I should have done that, but I think you've seen it enough. You only have to look back at my other recent vids and you'll see that. So it's a strange choice to me, because if you want a Mark 9, you've probably gone out and got the Tamiya one. You're not going to get a better kit, I don't think, in the Airfix. I could be wrong. Please don't shoot me down in flames. I am very, very doubtful you will. That's my opinion. No chance is it going to be better engineered. It's not going to be better moulded. That I can guarantee. So there's a lot of reasons why they're sort of putting their hands into the market. Yes, there's a lot of initial enthusiasm, but if it comes through and it's not that great, I'm not suggesting it won't be good. I mean, we had the Tempest and we've had the Hellcat, wasn't it? They've been great, you know. So, but they're not Tamiya standard. Let's not kid ourselves. So I think it's unwise. For me, I would have gone with the Mark 1 because I think that would sell just as hotcakes as the others would. Maybe not so many in the States, maybe not quite so many in places like Australia, but I don't think it would be hugely different. Hugely different, because the Spitfire and the Battle of Britain are such icons in their own right. I think they would have sold like hotcakes. I really do. And then they could have said, and we're going to do next year, we're doing Mark 9. So then you'd be, oh yeah, well. And some people, I think a lot of people would have really, there are certainly in the UK more people, I think, that would have liked a Mark 1, in the UK only I'm talking. And you have to bear in mind that there's a reason for that, obviously, historically, but that would have sold, I think, better than a Mark 9. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to buy it. I just don't need a Mark 9, and I certainly don't need one that big. I've got a Mark 9 and it's gorgeous, I'm very happy with it, from Tamiya, and I don't have any desire to build another one. But that's just me. If you have the room for it, you know, because it's a little bit bigger obviously, then I would not knock anybody wanting to have this kit, especially if they haven't got a Mark 9, then fill your boots, you know, a fair comment. I think it's for the collector, I think it's for the real connoisseur modeler. If I wanted a Mark 9, I'm not sure the first place I'd go, but there we go, there we go. However, in Airfix's defence, and I don't want to come across like I'm having a go at Airfix, because I'm not at all. Reasons will be explained in a moment why I'm quite impressed with them this year. But the pricing of this kit, they have really got right. So I do take my hat off to them in terms of, as soon as I saw it I thought, oh no, my heart sank, oh no, a Mark 9, you can tell I've got a beef chip on my shoulder about this. But no, I didn't know what the pricing was going to be at that moment, and I thought, oh, this is crazy. You know. However, they have priced it very, 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 I would say, competitively. It's about £94 on pre-order. Now, bear in mind that the Tamiya 132nd scale kit is about £120 or thereabouts. Wow, then that is very competitive. They have been very, very clever in their marketing, and they clearly, I think they've gone on the basis of perhaps a little bit of a lower margin on this, intending to sell big volume, and that's what this kit is all about. It's about selling volume right across the globe, and that is their marketing strategy for sure. So okay, it's not for me, but I do not want to be putting a downer on it or putting anybody else off it, because I've seen, if it's as good as the CAD renderings, it's going to be probably their best 24 scale ever. And they've already got some pretty good ones under the, you know, the Mosquito as well. I forgot to mention that. Some great kits already under their belt, and all, you know. I wish them success with it. I do. Just wish they'd gone for the Mark 1 first. Please, Airfix. If anybody from Airfix watches this video, please, we need the Mark 1 retooling. It's desperate, desperate, urgent. It's urgent. You know, for God's sake, retool the Mark 1. Ah. Calm down, calm down. It's only plastic, it's only plastic wood. We get passionate about our hobby though, don't we? Anyway, that's my view. But yeah, so they priced it beautifully. I've got to say, hats off to them. That will help their returns, I think, in terms of sales. If they made it 120, 125 quid, I'm afraid that it'd be a big no from me, and I'd be a lot more negative about it. But no, I think it's going to be good, and I'm sure the aftermarket guys will be all over it with this and that and the other. It'll be great, you know. And the cannons look good on it. I'm looking at the cannons; they look really good. Hispano cannons. Anyway, there we go. So that's the big headline one. Then we've got a couple of others. Now I'm going to be more positive, more positive. So they've come up with, and I thought I was dreaming yesterday because I'm so frustrated with Airfix and wanting them to do things, but we all do, and they know they can't please everybody, me included, all the time. It's never going to happen in a million years. They are very constrained by economics, like most companies, but they have been ignoring the demand, I think, and not listening to the customers for a while, and I think they started to do that now, because they announced yesterday they're going to have a new 1/48 scale Blackbird Buccaneer S2, the Navy strike bomber aircraft carrier based, and of course based in the UK, on land at places like Yeovilton and various other places. Was it Culdrose, I think, as well they were at, and of course the RAF ones are at Hollington and all the rest of it. But anyway, this is the Navy version. This, I was like, yes! Now this time they've really done it. They've done it right, from what I've seen anyway. We have to, again, we've got to all reserve judgment until the end, till we see the final product in our hands and with our eyes. But it looks brilliant. And of course we've had this 148th kit that is just tragic, is it? There's no other word for it. The old one from 1994 is just hideous. You've heard my views on it, you've seen my build. I just ran out of interest, talent and everything else, but it ended up looking okay. Not the best ever, but some people just seem to have limitless supplies of patience, I think, that I don't have. Anyway, that was a horrible, horrible kit, and was never good in the first place. So many things wrong with that. It should never have been released, even in 1994, but now it's just tragic. So they've done a great thing. They're getting rid of that, basically. They're going to replace it with this new kit, and I'm sure the RAF version will follow, which is probably the one I might go for, because you probably all remember my history about Honington and the RAF Buccaneers. Anyway, that is absolutely wonderful. It's got a fantastically detailed looking cockpit. It's got an engine access hatch at the side where you see the engine. That looks really good. It's got lots of detail on the air brakes at the back. It's got weapons including Martel and the 2-inch Navy rockets, slipper tanks and everything, plus bombs. Really, really good. I don't know if they're doing anything on the rotating bomb bay. Didn't notice that they were. More to come on that later, I think. I may have not quite picked up on all the detail there, but it does look really, really nice and light years better than what they did before. So congratulations, Airfix, thanks very much. We really appreciate that. I think that everybody seems to, whenever you go in these live forums and modelling forums, everybody's screaming out for it. They've been screaming out for it for years, and it just gets ignored all the time. So I think it's now been taken on board. Thank you very much, Airfix. Moving on, something else they've come up with which nobody expected. This is very left field, I've got to say. They're producing a brand new 48 scale again, Avro Anson, which of course was used by the RAF as a trainer and transport plane. They used to fly their top officers and officials around in World War II. I think they also used them for the SOE from time to time for dropping people into France. Not the quietest aeroplane I've ever heard. Now, I know personally because we have one quite close to where we live. In Shropshire there is an airfield called Sleap, and it's spelled S-L-E-A-P. And there is a chap there who he's got a Yak, I believe, a Yak 11, and he's got this Avro Anson, and he flies them around pretty regularly during the summer months, and we often literally have it flying over the house. If you look back on my history in the channel, you probably see one of the videos of it doing just that. So this is a really nice thing. I was like, oh, an Anson, oh yeah, cool. So I've seen the images of it, and they look like they're going to do this well. I think they've got different versions of the canopy. One's got the sloping canopy, which looks much sort of sexier than the sort of straight up one. It looks more like an old school car. It's twin engine, it's radial engined. It's quite a noisy beast, as I say, but they're quite a big plane as well. It's going to be quite a big model, I think, about this big, you know. It's not going to be small. And it's interesting that they've gone for such an unusual subject at that scale, at the very, you know, the sort of headline scale, if you like, for aircraft. But again, I take my hat off to them for doing something a bit different, and I think the quality looks so good on the renderings that I think you're going to get some good sales out of this. I think it's not the sort of plane I would sort of ever demand, but having seen it, I thought, you know what, I think I might get one of those. Especially as we've got this one flies around. It's great. We could put it in the same colours as the one we see, so that would be quite good. So hats off to Airfix again. I think that's something completely unexpected. Yeah, something nice to see something new, not just another bloody Spitfire, you know. we can't just, you know, Airfix have got to be careful with that. They've done a lot of Spitfires and Mosquitoes and all that stuff, which is fine because, as I say, they're British and it's their key market. But I think they're in danger of reaching saturation point on the wrong versions, you know. Somebody also said, just going back to Spitfires for a second, somebody also commented yesterday, which I thought was an interesting comment, and he said we should really need a Mark 14 in a big scale, something unusual. I suppose it's the problem of how many would they sell, but I do agree with him. I'd like to see something a bit different. We don't need 15 manufacturers doing Mark 9 Spitfires. You know, and one argument that was given by Airfix, which I didn't accept, and I didn't cover this. One of their reasonings was, oh well, we've got the 132 Mark 1 Battle of Britain Spitfire that's allegedly coming out from Qatari, is it, the New Zealand company, and that's going to be coming out next summer, so we don't want to be competing with that. And I thought, well, this is a new manufacturer that most people have never heard of, and will take them a lot of time to get any traction in the market, years, even if it's a great kit. they are not in the same scale anyway. So you don't want to compete with the 32nd scale Mark 1, but you do want to compete with the 32nd scale Mark 9C. That argument doesn't hold up at all. It's saying we don't want to compete with that, but we will compete with the market leader Tamiya, which is, even though it's a different scale. So you're not really competing on scale, but you're competing on the actual model. No, that makes sense. So whoever came up with that argument needs to have a think about it. Please, next year Airfix, give us a Mark 1 Spitfire in 24. Okay, rant over. Just a couple. I'm not going to go through the entire range of what they're off. I'm just going to make one or two comments on ones that stuck in my mind that were interesting. And I say, go and have a look at the video yourself. It's only about 15 minutes. The presentation vid. They've got one other new kit. There's a 72nd scaled F8 Meteor. De Havilland Meteor coming out, which looks quite nice. And again, it looks good. It looks really crisp. We shall see what it looks like in the flesh, but that's a nice addition, something a bit different in the 72nd scale. Why not, you know? So that was quite a good one. And then there's a lot of updated kits. And one of the updates that struck me that I thought was interesting was the F86 Sabre, the F40 version. So it was the late Korean War version. I think the Japanese used it, America, Canada. So it's got the bigger wing, the longer wing tips, and the what else was different on it? I know it's got different schemes. It's got the Japanese scheme amongst them. It looks quite nice actually. So yeah, they've done some updating. Then they've got various other kits like the Lightning F6 Lightning, I think it is, the 72nd scale. They're putting new schemes on. No fundamental retooling going on the others, just different schemes. There's a Dornier D17, same thing again, different schemes. One or two items have got new parts on, which actually I think the Sabre has got new parts on it as well. That'll be the wings, I think, and the tanks possibly. So other than that, there's a lot of rehashing. There's 72nd scale Harrier, Sea Harrier, which now this is another area where I have to say to them, I think they missed a trick here, Airfix. I was hoping, this might be wishful thinking on my part, okay, I accept this may not be the most worldwide marketable item, but I still think it would sell well. I was hoping they were going to do a 24 scale Harrier, Sea Harrier. No, what have they done? They have reintroduced the standard GR1 Harrier from 1971, I think it was. This is a kit that has one of Airfix's best ever artwork again. I think it was Roy Cross who did the artwork, a bit like the Spitfire. Fantastic artwork of this thing lifting off at RAF Wittering with the buildings of the airfield in the background. Really almost photographic quality picture. But the kit inside was, you first look at it and think, oh, this looks great, and you try building it. Oh my god. And Dale, the marketing guy at Airfix, I'm speaking to you, Dale, he said, oh, this has got such presence, it's a super kit in every sense of the word, even by modern standards. And I thought, Dale, you haven't tried to build this, have you? Because if he had, he'd know that it can be quite a hateful kit. It's got some horrible seams, it's got bad joints, it's got gaps, it's got many problems, okay? So why they reissued that, I'm not quite sure. I think it's a bit of wasted energy. And there's lots of other reissues like the Boomerang, I think 72nd scale Boomerang, and one or two others. Some of them, the Beaver, 72nd scale Beaver. Quite a few were interesting actually, they weren't too bad, you know, but some Russian tanks and Russian soldiers and things like that. Anyway, that's it for Airfix. I just thought I'd give you my thoughts. So I give them overall about 7.5 out of 10, I think, because the Spitfire, if they'd done a Mark 1, I think they get 9 out of 10 for their releases for this year. Last year I was like a 5 out of 10, a 6 out of 10. I'm not that impressed, but no, they've done better. I think this Buccaneer and the Anson. The Anson's very imaginative and courageous. Buccaneer is just common sense because it was time, but it was way past time for this Spitfire Mark 1A Battle of Britain Spitfire in 24. Get on with it, please. Anyway, enough rant over. So that's Airfix covered. Please tell me your thoughts. I'm sure you'll have similar ideas, or you may know something I don't. Please tell. Anyway, let's get back to my 2022 builds schedule, which we talked about, and then we said that I was going to have to need a bit of help, I think. And you'll recall I've got one model already mid-production. In fact, I'll just move this. I've got parts of it still here. This is my, hardly worth the zoom in, but I'll do it anyway. These are the various parts from my Porsche 917K, Le Mans Porsche. Various little tiny parts going on here. That was started 18 months ago, and it really does need finishing. Anyway, I put that on the list, and what I did is I totted up all the comments when somebody said, I think you should build this. I recorded all these comments, did a proper score, and I promise you it's genuine. I haven't fiddled it or influenced it in any way beyond what I said on the video. And it's interesting because the ones that came 4th and 3rd, which are going to get built, as instructed by you, or some of you, but they did not feature when I did the live chat show. I first showed the video last week. These were not on the radar. Hardly anybody. I think one person mentioned the Sheridan, and I think maybe one person mentioned the Lightning. But apart from that, it was two very unpopular items that have ended up right high up the scale. So that's interesting because they didn't get any votes for the first 1 to 2, 3 days, and then they just started picking up votes. Very interesting. Maybe people reflected on it and thought, some of those other bills might not be so good. Anyway, without further ado, let's tell you the outstanding ones. I've got a short list of 6, which I intend to build. Doesn't mean it happened, but at least half of them I think will get built this year. But interestingly, before I get into the short list, let me tell you the ones that were very unsuccessful. And again, these surprised me. I think you'll be surprised as well. So there was about 80 votes, I think, placed in total. The least successful, which surprised me, was the Kinetic GR3, GR1, GR3 Harriet. Now I know maybe I influenced people because I did say, well, I'm not sure, I'll do this later. Maybe that influenced people and they thought, yeah, there's another Harrier, the Falklands one, that's another option. So it only got 2 votes, which I was very surprised about because there's other people are building this for the well-known modelling forum, which I'm a member of, and it's a good kit. You know, it's good. They're going to have great fun with it, I think. So I'm kind of surprised that did so badly. That came bottom, and then next to it, and the 2 that didn't do brilliantly, the Phantom, the Fgr2 Phantom from Airfix, that only got 3 votes. That was really dire. And I thought that would get a lot more, but anyway, there we go. Then we got Now here's the bit. Well, I got 3 votes, but the real headline, perhaps the biggest headline of all, this really did. Okay, the 3. So this is the one that surprised me, probably the most of the whole lot, and it was the Tamiya F14A Tomcat, the newest one, which I think I said was the greatest kit of all time. Many people agree with me. The greatest kit of all time video that I did has been very, very popular. I think we've got 6,000 views, which for one of mine is a real good result, and continues to be popular. It got 4 votes, only 4 votes. I think that people, again, I think I influenced people inadvertently by saying I haven't really got room for it. So it's surprising on the face of it if you didn't see the video I did, but I did sort of say, well, I don't know where I'm going to put it, I don't think it's ideal. So I think that's fair comment in a way. I think people have taken on board my own. It might not be what they would do. Because one guy said, I would build that, but you haven't got the room, so, which is fair comment, you know. But it did come very low. Then we got the Raf Buccaneer, the 172nd Buccaneer. Again, only 5 votes, didn't do very well at all. A bit surprised about that. And then we carry on. And then what we've got? Then also with 5 votes was this Porsche 917, this Le Mans Porsche. Now, this needs doing. It's interesting, the people that did vote for it said, you really need to get this done soonest, first, before you start the others. And I thought, you know what, he's right. In fact, I think 2 people said that. And I thought, you know, that's not a bad comment really. I don't think I can argue with that. So I've actually done a little bit of work on it in the last few days. We're just working on seat belts and things, and yeah, I think that I could actually get that done by the end of January. Here we go, setting silly deadlines. Certainly in the next sort of 4 or 5 weeks I should get that finished, because it needs to be out of the way, and then we move on and focus on the ones for this year. So let's crack on. So I think that's going to happen. I think that's going to be, well, I've already been doing a bit of work, so I'm going to try and get that out of the way, finish it, and then we start the new ones as per your votes. So going up the list, next we have, let's I've got to look at all my different various scribbled out because another vote come in, and scribbled out because another vote came in. So make sure I get it right. Okay, the next one was the HMS Invincible Ship. A lot of people said that'd be great for a Falklands thing, but it wasn't overly popular. I have to say that after the show, I think it only got 2 votes afterwards in the preceding week between then and now. So that came out of 5. I'd like to do that though. I said my father did a bit of design work on this ship at Vickers. It's one of those I'll try and slot in if and when I've got the time. But I'd like to do it as a Falklands tribute. But because of the number of votes, it can't be on the priority list. So we'll see how we get on with that. It's perhaps something I could do, like a moonlighting job, evenings only or something. Anyway, Sundays only. Getting on to the more meaty end now. The Airfix Stuka, that got that got 4 votes actually, I missed that one. That got 4 votes. However, I really would like to do that, but I think obviously it's not enough votes to be in the priority list again. But I might do that back end of the year, because I think the people that did say, one chap said he built it and said it was really the best Stuka and one of Airfix's best ever kits, and he said it was moulded in the UK, which would explain why I couldn't find any made in India or made in China wording on it, so that's interesting. And then we're coming right towards the top now. So then you actually jump up pretty much to the shortlist, which is over here. So let us give them. I'll show you them. I'll tell you what the votes that they got. So Airfix Stuka mentioned 4. Then we've got the Porsche we talked about. I got 5, which we've already handled. So now we come to the top 4, and these are the meaningful ones. So number 4, and this is close. This has only got pipped by 1 vote from being 3rd. Number 4, which we will try and build. Just looking at my schedule, I'm going to try and do this back end of the year, September, October onwards. Tamiya's M551 Sheridan. Now this is one of the 2 kits that seemed to get virtually no votes at the beginning at all. Nobody showed any interest. And I said, oh, okay. And then it just gradually picked them up every day. 1 or 2 people voted for it, you know. So it ended up with a total of 9 votes. Okay, so that's the Sheridan. Toward the back of the year, when we have some time, we'll do that one. In 3rd place, pipping it by 1 vote with 10 votes, is the Lockheed P38 Lightning. Now this is problematic as well, because as I said in the first video, it doesn't fall into any of the categories that I need to build for this year. So this again is going to be on the modelling forum. There's a couple of categories that I don't think I'll be taking part in later in the year, summer onwards, July onwards. So I think we're going to go for this one in July. Yeah, July onwards. So we're going to go this one in July. This one's probably going to be September. This is giving you the order that they're going to be in. Can you guess what 2nd and 1st are? I bet you can. In 2nd place. And these were much clearer. They weren't just like 1 vote. There's no margin of error here. 12 votes. The Grumman F14A Tomcat, the original Tamiya release, got lots of votes. 12 votes, and yeah, I think that's going to be a dream build, and it's a 1970s subject, so I can do it as a 70s build. It's a no-brainer, going to happen. I think it'll be very pleasurable. Don't need too much in the way of aftermarket. Let's go for it. And then finally, in 1st place, and there's going to be no surprises, I think, amongst most of you. 1st place with 2 more votes, is the 1/48 scale Kinetic FRS1 Sea Harrier. I'm trying to get a reflection out of the way if I can. There we go. There we are then. So the Falklands War Mark 1 Harrier easily was winning from the minute before the video had even finished. People started voting for that. Just a gentle stream, but just carried on. There was no letting up. People said, yeah, it's a great subject. You know, it's so Falklands, whereas the other Harrier is Falklands, but arrived later, didn't get involved in some of these famous incidents in quite the same way. Made a massive contribution. I'm not knocking that aircraft or its pilots, who were very brave indeed. But these guys were really, it was like the Battle of Britain over the Falklands, wasn't it, really? And these guys were taking massive risks doing these combat air patrols. I've been listening to some more interesting testimony from Dave Morgan, amongst other people. He's a chap who was based on Hermes in 800 Squadron, I think it was. Listening to some of his accounts, we've already heard from Sharky Ward, he was based on Invincible. And Dave Morgan, he told one story that really amazed me, where he took down a helicopter, burst of gunfire which missed, and he went so fast and so low, close to it, and then flipped and pulled up at a sharp angle that his draft blew the helicopter into the side of a mountain and it exploded. So he didn't actually hit it, he just literally knocked it flying. It started spinning and went into the side of the mountainside, so that's dramatic, you know. And he was actually worried that he took down a couple of helicopters, and I think he shot one down the next day with a missile, with the guns. And I think he thought just his 30mm cannon had penetrated it, blew it up. And then there was a rumour going around that it was one of his prisoner of war colleagues who'd been shot down by an anti-aircraft missile. They were frightened he was on this helicopter going to be transferred to the airfield to go back to Argentina as a prisoner of war. And of course he felt absolutely awful. Anyway, he found out later, somebody informed him that he was actually going on a Hercules the following night, this pilot. So he didn't kill his colleague after all, which is a great relief, you know. But anyway, fantastic stories. It's such a great subject. It's so iconic of the Falklands War, which is the 40th anniversary. That's what we're going with. So we're going to get this Porsche out of the way as quickly as possible, and then we're going to go in this order. So it's going to be this, then this, two carrier aircraft. Can you believe it? So sorry, American friends, the Brits just picture only just that by 2 months, and then don't worry, Americans, because it's all America from there down. USA. Okay, so you'll be happy. So there we go. So that's the schedule for the next 6 months. So I've actually written it here as follows. I put this one because I want to do this Porsche. It's going to be January, February to April. This one in time for the Falklands tribute, and then the Tomcat April to June, hopefully. And then, as I say, July and then September, and then we'll take it from there. Perhaps do the Stuka at the back end of the year. Hope you found it interesting. Just two more things I wanted to mention before I go. A couple of new kits that have just come out in the last few weeks that I'm not going to review, and I'm not very enthusiastic about. I'm going to explain why. The first one is the Revel SR71, a Blackbird. I've seen very good images, and I've actually seen some of the reviews now as well. But I'm not impressed by the look of that. And again, I'm trying to be fair. I was got my grievance with the big Spitfire from Airfix, but they priced it beautifully, so that helps water away some of my complaint. Now, this is the other way around. I know it's quite a big chunk of plastic, but the quality of the detail, there's no riveting on it, and people say, oh, you can rivet it yourself. It's £86–88. This is not a cheap kit. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Mind you, I didn't mention this, but the new Buccaneer from Airfix is allegedly going to be mid-70s, close to £80, so that's a lot of money as well, to be honest, which I'm not sure. I don't understand how they got the Spitfire so good. It's almost like they've underpriced that, and they're trying to make it up on the Buccaneer. Whatever. What do you think? Anyway, so yeah, this Blackbird, some parts of the kit I've seen, it looks really nice. The engines look really excellent. You can display them out. It's got a stand, so it's not all bad. But it's just a big, it just looks to me like they've just taken this from a 72nd scale kit, surface detail, and just scaled it up. They don't seem to have added anything. And I'm sorry, but I can't be bothered. Revel have got to come up with something that really impresses me. And they have done. You know, there's been a few kits recently like that. The Focke-Wulf 190 and the Fox Spark, which is really ICM. But they've done one or two that have been quite decent that I've reviewed lately. I've been quite impressed by. There's no way I'm going to be investing in that one though. Sorry. And I like the subject. The Blackbird is so iconic, but I don't think they've done a great job. Another problem with it, the sprue gate contact areas are very massive, really big, old school, nasty, in the wrong places. It's not really been a well executed kit, that, and I don't think it's good value for money at all. So as great value as the new Spitfire will be from Airfix, the big one, this is the opposite. This is poor value for money, I think, and I'm not doing it, so that's out. The other one that I decided against was the border model Stuka, the 135th. Now, don't want to be negative about this. We know that Border have been having a few other issues with their other planned projects. You know the one I mean. Less said about that, the better. But they've got this Border Stuka, which of course is going to match with the ME109. Again, I've seen some images. The plastic, it's the same as the 109. The plastic looks amazing. It looks really nice. but it's got no bomb because it's like the ground attack tank buster style one. There's no bomb, even though it shows it, I think. Does it show it on the artwork? It certainly shows it in some of the... I think it showed it in some... Was it on the instructions? No, it's not in the instructions. It's not in the instructions. But I think there's a bomb actually. I think there's a bomb in the kit, so they're going to probably release other versions. But the problem is that it's just the same as the 109. The instructions look absolutely dire. There's no writing in it, virtually no English at all. There's no colour call-outs again. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. I think that if you really want a really nice Stuka, then yes, please don't let me put you off, go for it. But you're going to have to do a bit of research and have some references. And I just don't feel willing to support these kit manufacturers who are not making any effort at all. I've said this before, I'm not going to rant on about it now, but I'm not going to support that. There's no reason. They've had plenty of time, they should have done it properly. They've spent more time having a row with Wingnut Wings creator than they have preparing their instructions properly. So I would say to them, stop this public spat and public statements they keep making that are extremely controversial and helpful. We've still not seen the Lancaster, have we? Oh, I'm not sure we're going to see it. I'm not convinced. But anyway, they should invest more of their time in getting things right, and their instructions are what they need to put more time and effort into. So there we go. Anyway, I hope you found it interesting. Thank you everybody who voted. I promise you those are the true results. I haven't changed them in any way. As I say, we've got 80 votes in total, and that's the way they came out. So yeah, I'm actually quite looking forward to it, because I was frightened that people would vote for something really horrible I was going to hate, but they didn't. No, they didn't. So everything that has been suggested, in the order they were suggested, is fine. So I hope you'll come along for the ride. And some people have asked me to do some actual modelling videos, build videos. Well, I haven't got the, I'll be honest with you, I haven't got the editing skills, techniques, etc., or the equipment. I don't have the software or blah blah. But I might do something. It's something that's a bit interesting. Where I think, if I think I can add something that others haven't done or do it a slightly different way, I might do something like that. But I'm not going to be. I'm never going to be one of these that does these long modelling build videos, because it's not my forte, it's not my raison d'etre at all. Others are much better at it than I, and I think you should stick to what you're good at, really. Well, you may not agree. Anyway, there we go. Hope you enjoyed today's vid, found it interesting. Thank you very much for watching, I really appreciate all your time. Please give us a thumbs up, give us a 10 out of 10. I give the viewers and subscribers 10 out of 10 for all their support and their viewing and giving me the votes to actually create this list. And I'm quite looking forward to doing my Falklands trivia. And I should just tell you, actually, I've just forgotten something. This is very important. There I was just winding the video up, and I haven't shown you the most interesting sexy parts that I just got for this. So I could see the way the voting was going, and I took a bit of a gamble. I decided to, you have to bear with me, because the gloves on it makes it a bit harder. I knew I put the gloves on for a reason. People always ask me, why do you wear gloves? You know, finger marks here. Let's just pop that over there. I just want to show you two things which I think will fascinate you. Or is it three things? Okay, three things. Well, I've got the Edward mask. It's three things, but you know, mask is a mask, isn't it? Pop that back up there. Well, I've got here a couple of items just to enhance a little bit. So let me show you. Zoom you in. How could I almost forget this? I'd have been kicking myself if I'd forgotten this. Right, there you go. What we have got here is our Falklands Sea Harrier pilot from Aero Bonus. So look at him. Resin, doesn't he look nice? He's got the big knee pads on with his maps and flight instructions. Look at that. Yeah, I like that. I do like it, I've got to be honest. And it's from Airres, of course, in the Czech Republic. Don't know why they're calling it Aero Bonus, particularly at the top. A little bit strange. But there's that one, and then there's the... Now, this is actually, if I'm honest, the sharp-eyed amongst you will probably realise straight away this is more suited to the GR1, GR3 Harrier. Because, as you know, in that kit we have a an issue where it has these rockets protruding out of the nose of the actual pod, which is wrong. But this could be used on this one, except that they normally have a 2-inch rocket, slightly different version of the Matra. Oops, slightly different version in fact that is used for the naval versions. Obviously this is the slightly smaller, I think it's a 1.5-inch rocket if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, I think I have some vehicle outside that's just in a bit of reversing, but let's have a look at the actual parts themselves. Look at this. See that? So these have got the closed off ends of the actual tip. They have this shell cover that I did allude to it in the other video. It's quite hard to see actually in the contrast of the grey. You can just see the end of the tubes are covered over, and then you get there's a bit of photo etch as you saw, and then there's this is the rear end, the back of it, where the blast comes out of. Quite a nice set, it has to be said, and I was quite impressed when that arrived. I mentioned there's some photo etch, here it is, whoops. A little bit of photo etch just to show the back end. A nice little bit of resin. I think that's going to complement very well. In addition to that, as I say, this is really for your GR1, GR3 though. This is the RAF version. But of course you have to bear in mind that most of the time the Sea Harriers were on combat air patrol. They were trying to take down the Mirages, Skyhawks and the Daggers that were flying over the Falklands. And those were used on the GR3s doing the ground attack role. So very nice. I've also got a Peter head on the way, I think, as well, which is in transit somewhere. But there we are. So gives you a bit of background. You can see that I'm getting ready. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all stay well, stay safe, and we have more to talk about soon. Perhaps show a video perhaps coming up with a little bit of progress with the Porsche, progress with this when I get started. I think it's going to be a couple of weeks before this gets going, but we shall see. In the meantime, thanks a lot, as I said, for watching. Thanks for all your time. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope to see you again very soon. In the meantime, bye for now.